Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. I'm your host, Parker Layrisson, and I've got a great guest for you here today. We're going to hear from a local educator who's doing great things in our community. He is a proud product of our community here in Ponchatoula, a PHS graduate, and you're not going to believe how much this young man has accomplished by the age of 24. So with no further ado, I introduce you to today's guest, Marshall Muse III. Marshall, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
As Parker stated, my name is Marshall Muse III. I am 24 years old, native of Ponchatoula, Louisiana. Been here, born and raised here all my life. So something to be proud of. And
Absolutely.
Currently, I'm a fourth grade math and science teacher, educator here in Ponchatoula Parish at my old elementary school, the D.C. Reeves Elementary.
The D.C. Reeves.
The D.C. Reeves Elementary School.
Cool. That's great branding, man.
Absolutely. It's a part of the process.
I like that, man. I like that. Every time I drive by DC Reeves, I think of my first baseball practice. And if you forgive me, I didn't intend to talk about this, but it just triggered in my head.
That's all right.
Because this, I guess, is a triggering event for a young kid. Maybe it's the first time I can remember being traumatized. But my dad, who was a great athlete, he was a shortstop and a heck of a baseball player, and his father, a semi-pro baseball player here in Ponchatoula for the Ponchatoula Athletics, normally would be in charge of my athletic career. But for whatever reason, Dad was not around to see me off to my first baseball practice, which was in the field at DC Reeves, right there at the playground, right?
Oh, wow.
And so my mom, who knew nothing about baseball, but was an antique dealer and an antique enthusiast, she sent me with this as my glove. Okay. Now, I keep it on my desk. You see my name's still written in it here. I don't know if you can see that. But as you can see, it cannot really even fit around a ball. I mean, there's no catch. This is, so I get there. Every other kid's got a Wilson, a Rawlings, and they're catching and knowing what they're doing. And I have this pancake, right? They can't catch a ball. And so I was so embarrassed as a little kid. I hid it underneath my shirt, and I faked the tummy ache. And so that was my first DC Reeves experience. But a wonderful school. Sorry to hijack that with that memory.
Fine.
But that was DC Reeves for me. You clearly had a much better experience because you went to school there for a few years, and now you've circled back as a teacher. Is that right?
Absolutely. So my
tell us about what that means to you. Tell us about DC Reeves, and please continue.
Oh yeah, my early years at DC Reeves, I could remember just being super competitive. I remember we used to have multiplication contests, battles, where they would be timed multiplication tests. And I just could not lose. I couldn't bear the thought of my classmates beating me, but having to go home and tell my parents that I wasn't successful. So
you were the Tom Brady of third or fourth grade.
I was the Tom Brady of DC. Absolutely. Anybody, come on, challenge me.
Hey guys, we've got the GOAT right here. Best multiplication man ever to walk the halls of DC Reeves. It's a great school. Now, my other experience there, which is more recent, has been part of our Rotary Club here locally. We bring dictionaries to your kids at DC Reeves once a year. And that's a magical moment for me to see these kids and the pride they get to have their own personal dictionary.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all are really doing wonderful things there because the kids are well behaved, they're appreciative, and they're eager to learn. They are so interested in those books and more importantly, the contents of them. What are y'all doing to get these kids so excited about learning?
The culture at DC Reeves Elementary School it's indescribable. It's indescribable. The culture is what makes it sets us apart from any other elementary school, not only in the district, in the state. And it's intentional. Everything that we do is intentional. We're particular about everything that we do. So to be a first year educator back at my elementary school is it just makes me happy. I'm always smiling, even through the math. My scholars can see me smiling, all in my eyes. And it's just, I tell them stories constantly about how when I was seated in those same desks, in the same classroom, and just how important it is to reach back, because if you don't do anything in life, it's important that you reach back and educate those and help those to come up and do even greater things than what I've done.
Amen. That's a wonderful statement. I could not agree more. And there's so much to unpack there. I want to unfold a few things, and we'll take them one at a time here. One is the culture. You mentioned the culture and it being intentional.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Where does it start? How do you get it? I mean, how do you get it to go through the entire campus and everybody involved? Let's talk about that a little bit, because I'd love to see that magic kind of grow and expand and see all the schools do as well as you guys do, be as proud of what they do as you are. Tell us about that culture.
Well, it definitely starts at the top. It starts at the top. So we have a phenomenal Eagle leader, Tamara Whittington, and she is a go-getter. She's a principal who's walking the halls, in the classrooms, talking to the teachers, talking to the students. So we're definitely intentional. Positive vibes.
Sounds like very active leadership. You talk
very
leading
active.
by example, thoughtful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great to know.
Absolutely. So she's like I say, she's intentional. Every morning she sends us an email, positive vibes, a quote, something positive. She's, like I said, she's present, and that's something that you don't see often. You see leaders who they've accomplished so much, and they, the pride kind of gets to them, but she's someone that's going to do what she has to do to show her scholars, her faculty and staff that we're loved, that we're appreciated. And it just makes for a dynamic atmosphere.
Well, that's so great to hear. Keeping with your Tom Brady GOAT status. I mean, didn't you just do that in the Super Bowl? I mean, you're Tom Brady. He's 43. He's my age, and I'm sitting here, with my hair falling out and gray beard and all this. And this guy's not only winning the Super Bowl and still the Super Bowl MVP for the 5th time and the 7th championship, but he's active. You talk about principal walking the halls, setting an example, communicating every day in an inspiring way. I mean, we see that in the sports world all the time from great leaders like, LeBron, Brady, you name them. But maybe we don't always think about how principals can do that and the impact it would have on the kids they teach, the rest of the faculty and staff. And it's so cool to hear about. Now, you also mentioned, and I don't mean to cut you off, so please continue. But you mentioned first-year educator. Whoa, first year, COVID-19. Let's let that bomb explode and tell us about what that's all about.
Yes. So I made that transition into education, and I started in the parish at January of last year. So it was January of 2020. And so my first full year was kind of interrupted because of the pandemic, but I did come in and, I was intentional and impactful with the group of scholars that I had last year. So here in August of last year, whenever I got my, true first set of students at the beginning of the year, it was challenging. I can't, not be honest and say that it was easy, but I think the most important thing is my positive attitude, being transparent and real, because that's what the scholars and their parents love about me. Someone who's relatable, someone who's knowledgeable of the information, but someone who's going to be real. And it's easy for me to go into my classroom every day and show them love and give them not only the curriculum, but give them life nuggets, as I like to call it, that's going to carry them not only through 4th and 5th grade, but hopefully through life, they'll be able to think back and say, wow, Mr. Muse taught me not only what it is to be an exceptional scholar, but to be an exceptional leader.
Well, speaking of exceptional leadership, you catch me looking off to the side here because I'm seeing a tremendous amount of comments coming in here. Oh, wow. So I want to throw a few up on the board here. You're interviewing on a phone screen, so I don't know if you can read that or not. You got young guys. You're not old like me, but I can talk you through some of these just so you know who's out there. And folks, for those of you watching live, know that we're going to do our best to show your comments here on the screen and respond to them. So when you hear Marshall talking about being a great educator, being about a leader who leads by example, being an inspirational advocate for his kids and others, join us. Pipe in. Put a comment down below. We'll do our best to respond. So we're starting off here, Marshall. One of your cousins, Chantel Lewis, says hello. So she's saying, hey, Chantel, thank you for tuning in and watching the show. I think that might mean you might be related to our high school quarterback, Martinez Lewis, Delray.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, great. His dad, Mr. Walter, was our coach when we were a kid. Great family. He was a heck of an athlete, and he's just a great guy. I hadn't seen him in years, but did not know that connection. It's good to see. Absolutely. That's one thing about Ponchatoula. Whether you know somebody or not, we all know people in common.
We're connected. Yeah, we're connected.
Terry Neal Bourgeois says,
hey,
you
Bourgeois.
Go.
4th grade math team. I love my 4th grade math team.
Yeah,
Shout out.
I mean, you're right. You guys supporting each other. Your cousin Chantel's, mentioning
her sister. Yeah,
yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Tracy Lewis here is tagging Tracy.
Family.
Boy, Chantel, you are our MVP. We're talking Tom Brady.
Yeah, come on, MVP. I love
you're the MVP of this show so far. You're getting us some eyes on here. That's eyes and ears. That's what it's all about. That's great. Tabitha Renee Majesty. She says, yes,
hey, Miss Majesty.
DC Reeves. Hashtag confirmation.
That's us.
And here we go. Walter Lewis, speak of the devil. There he is. Chantel's giving him a shout. Tabitha's here. Let's see here. We've got more folks getting tagged here. I don't know if these are relatives, friends, but our MVP is doing the hard work for us. Here we go. Miss Berto is that says hey. You got so many comments here now. It's jumping around on me. I'm losing them. So Yvette Shanta, and forgive me, folks, if I mispronounce your name. I'm horrible with names. Lord knows I deserve it. All the heck I
always
get for
smiling. I know. I'm trying not to smile. So
you're gonna have wrinkles. By the time you're my age, you're gonna be all wrinkled out. I hope you have some.
Try to hold it together. Yeah.
My wife's always about the moisturizing and all that stuff. So you're a young man, and with that smiling, you should do that. Jolene Michelle says, "Hey, Mr.
Hey, Miss Art. Hey."
Margaret.
This is my family. Hey, that's my assistant principal.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
All my DC Reeves family. I love them.
Coy Brianne says, "Good stuff."
Hey,
Marshall.
Coy.
Amber Parent says, "You're always impacting."
Thank you, Miss Parent.
Darvin Thomas says, "Good things at the DC Reeves." I like to see that.
4th grade. Hey, 4th grade.
Miss Berto says, "You represent DC Reeves well." Sheikah Mosley Glover's showing you the love here. Chantel Lewis is tagging Martin Walker. Aldremia Lewis, forgive me if I said that wrong. She says, "You're one of the best."
Oh, thank you.
It's tagging Pamela Evans White and Adriana Evans. We got folks just getting tagged left and right here.
Wow.
Shirley P says, "Great education ahead of you."
Love my cousin.
Tracy Lewis says, "You have reason to smile."
That's right.
That's true. And here we go. Jennifer Leday says, you keep them all smiling with your positive energy. So, Marshall, we will do our best to circle back as comments continue to come in.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, they're coming in.
They are showing you the love, man. That's really cool, man. Yeah. So we're talking about your career. All right. And you've mentioned that you were actually a student where you teach at DC Reeves. So why don't we take this opportunity to kind of circle back, being a native of Ponchatoula, being a former the DC Reeves Eagle. Tell us about what childhood was like, at DC Reeves and elsewhere, but like, what was it like for you growing up here in Ponchatoula?
Growing up here in Ponchatoula, my family is pretty close-knit, as you can see. My family is on here. Everybody's tagging everybody.
Supportive, tightly knit.
So it's definitely love with me and anybody that I interact with. It's always positive. I can say from a very young age, I've always been passionate about family. I've always been passionate about the youth, but more importantly, selflessness is what I thrive off of. Just being as humble and genuine as possible, even from a kid. Like I said, I was always competitive, but being competitive, you're always, or you should find some sense of pride in being humble. because it's
Absolutely,
commendable.
absolutely.
It's respectful. So growing up at DC
Dr.
Reeves, like
King
I
used
said,
to talk about the drum major's instinct and how you can
hmm
have that instinct to be leading the parade, but use it for good, right? Use it for serving
absolutely,
your community. I mean, isn't that what
absolutely,
Jesus did? Isn't that the example he set? You know,
absolutely,
get out there in front and lead, but do it in service and humility. So I'm glad to hear
absolutely.
that coming from you, man. That's a great life philosophy. I
It
don't know if I
is.
got that at 24, so you should be commended for seeing that early on. But
Yeah.
getting that message, and you mentioned the importance of family. You know, where did you learn that? Was it from your own family? Was it from friends? Was it church? You know, where
It's
did you
definitely
pick up
from my
that ethic?
it's definitely from my family. And
Mhm.
some things, of course, I learned directly, and other things indirectly. Based on experience. But my family is very a very loving family. Like I said, we're very close knit, and
Mhm.
for some, education is important, but for others, it's more so of a requirement. Or I've
Yep.
always been driven in education and driven in academics and being a lifelong learner, as we say at DDC Reeves. It's just important to always, you're never too old to learn, you're never too old to grow. So,
Right.
like I said, even as a third and fourth grade student, I was eager to learn. I had the
Yeah.
desire. So, since I had that fire and I had family and friends to boost me as a young child, um, it just never died. And so
Mhm.
I tried to instill that same passion that I had into my scholars, and it is apparent that they've taken a attachment to me like never before, and I'm just beyond grateful.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that because something I wanted to bring up in this interview, I'm going to try to pull up a screen share here if I can.
Okay.
Was one of the students at the school. I think your
Yeah.
principal shared this email. So for the
Yes.
folks, if you're looking on a small screen and can't read it, I'll do my best to paraphrase it. But on January 8th this year, a young man by the name of Stephen Jenkins challenged you to a race, right?
Yeah.
It
Yes.
says here, Mr. Muse, I am in Miss Rushing's class, and I challenge you to a race on Tuesday 1 around the track. All
Yeah.
right. And then you responded very professionally and accepted the challenge. And
Absolutely.
we can see here a picture
Yeah.
of you and Stephen. And then look at this photo. It looks like a lot more joined in, but there you are leading the pack. Still the competitor, still the multiplication table champion, now
The
the
goat.
fastest
Still
runner
the
in the
goat.
school.
Still the goat.
Tell us about this. Tell us what this was like. What did it mean to you? This
Oh
just looks like
wow.
such a cool story to share. Give
Um,
us the details.
So first, I want to point out the first photo of me and Stephen. That was one race, and then the second photo is a different race. So with
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, thank you for
yeah,
sharing that. Wow, this is a thing now.
with Mr. Jenkins, like I
Okay.
say,
Well, let's
just
start with
building that.
Mr. Jenkins. Stephen Jenkins, was this the first race? Was he the
This was
first
the
guy to challenge
first race. First
you?
race.
Okay. So tell us about that. How did that go? And is this something that happens all the time at the DC Reeves, or was this something new? What's the story here?
So the story is just me, like I said, being intentional about creating that positive
Hmm.
culture, uh, even with students who aren't my own, as you can see.
Right.
I
Another
encourage I encourage all students. Uh,
class.
there's a thing that I say to the scholars. You have the KSA, and that's the knowledge, skill, and ability to
Hmm.
do anything, to overcome any obstacle and achieve any goal. And I encourage them. I teach them how to compose an email, how to give a proper greeting, and a subject line. I tell them the importance of composing an email because that's a life skill that you'll need uh, later on,
Right.
as a professional. So with Mr. Jenkins, um, I'm always in the halls, even though
Hmm.
we're COVID, we're not shaking hands and giving hugs, but
Right.
a firm greeting in the morning is meaningful to any human, but
Absolutely.
to our children, our scholars in particular. So Ms. Rushing, his homeroom teacher, is a part of my fourth grade math team. She's actually our leader. Shout out to Ms. Rushing. And I just encourage them, whoever it is, if it's the principal of the school, if it's another student, if it's a teacher, if you see something that you want to do or you want to challenge them, go ahead. So I told Mr. Jenkins, I was up for the challenge, and He wanted to challenge me. We had
Right.
to, schedule it due to COVID and everybody not being out and about at the same time. So he sent me the email, and I confirmed with his teacher that it was okay. Got the
Oh, so
got to
cool.
go ahead, and he
Yeah.
sent me the email. So we had our race, and his classmates were on the side cheering him on, and I just love that.
That's
I
perfect.
love that. I'm competitive, so I'm trying to hold it in. Uh, and
Right.
so we had the race, and I did win the race, and I let him know. I said, "You gave Mr. Muse a run for his money. I'm an old man. I look young, and just encouraged him that even though you lost, you're still a winner because look what you've
Yeah,
done for the rest of the students. Now you set an example. You set the bar, Mr. Jenkins. And
for sure.
even though he lost, Mr. Jenkins and we had lunch.
Yeah.
I purchased him lunch. I said, wherever you
Oh,
want,
that's
whatever you
cool.
want to do, we'll have lunch. And so that was the start of something great.
Uh-huh.
That was the first race. So
And your prophecy came true. He was the leader who started something,
he
and then all
started
these.
something. He started something great. So
Yeah.
I would try, if possible, to go out during recess because, due to COVID, that's the only time that the students are able to go outside. And
Right.
impacting third graders and fourth graders is important to me because I want the third graders to know that, hey, there is a possibility next year that I may be your teacher, and I want to build that relationship now, and I'm intentional about that. So, the 100th day of school is celebrated annually, and this year we hadn't gotten any news as faculty and staff. So I reached out to the principal and I said, "Hey, are we having a 100th day of school?" And she said yes, and she kind of voluntold me to take charge of the of the event. So
I think I just learned something new. Voluntold.
voluntold, yeah, at VDC Reeves, at VDC voluntold. So she said,
It's that DDC Reeves and the concept of voluntold sounds a lot like marriage to me.
yeah, I'm definitely
My
I'm
wife's
married.
never used the term voluntold, but I've been voluntold to do a lot of
A
things in
lot of
my married
things.
days.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I took over the 100th day of school, and
Uh-huh.
it was just phenomenal. So some of the suggested activities, one was the 100-yard dash.
Uh-huh.
And so, I sent out an email to all the faculty and staff and welcomed their students because we have four different lunch pods, like lunch
Mhm.
sections. And so there were third graders and fourth graders eager to participate in the 100-yard dash where I would race, all the students who wanted to participate. And so, as you can imagine, I was exhausted, wiped
I
out.
bet. So this photo we have here, is this one of the 100-yard dashes?
This is one of them. So we had such a tremendous turnout that in each of the four lunch periods, I had to break the 100-yard dash into four separate races.
So no wonder you're in such good shape,
So
man. You're like it's like running track and teaching math
it's
all in
like
one day.
running track
That'll
and
keep
teach.
you
And as
mind
soon as
and
I
body
finished, I
sharp.
went right back into class. So, but they enjoyed it, and it's something to
Yeah,
get them motivated. They see that, hey, this man, he isn't even my teacher, but he
sure. Yeah.
cares that much enough about me, and just to get out there and interact with them and just have conversations, just to race them, to challenge them, and to get them motivated and have them motivate their classmates.
Well, I can't imagine the energy that brings to a campus that day,
Yeah.
right? I mean, my kids are not yet in third or fourth grade, and it's been 40
Hmm.
years since I was in that, ballpark. So I don't have much grasp of what life as a third or fourth grader is these days. But
Hmm.
seeing my little 3 and 5-year-old get, riled up for recess. I mean, tomorrow is the Valentine's Day party. They're so
Hmm.
excited about that. Anytime a teacher does anything a little different and exceptional, they get so excited about it. But man, the concept of being able to get in a foot race with this teacher that you admire and look up to, and
Yeah.
then I could see a domino effect, right? The snowball starts growing as
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
beat this kid's class, and the guy in the next class is talking smack, and he thinks he's going to do it, and
Oh, since then, oh
he's
Lord,
going to be the
since
first guy
then,
to outrun you. I can't imagine. I mean,
since
tell us
then, I've been getting nothing but emails from third and fourth grade students, and I
about
mean,
it. Right?
I'm immensely grateful, and that the
Yeah.
biggest thing is I can't take the credit for any of this. to God be the glory. I'm just
Absolutely.
grateful to be in the position that I'm in. And
Amen.
like I said, it's challenging. I can't say that it's not, but every day I'm motivated. Just knowing that one of those students, one of those scholars, they're going to think back and remember I had a experience like none other
Yeah,
while I was at DC Reed.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's circle back. Your childhood, your experience. You know, you get to DC Reeves, you master multiplication tables.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some more your own journey through the Ponchatoula public school system, because one of the things we want to do with this show is highlight the great things that are happening in Ponchatoula. And you're talking about the great things you're doing in DC Reeves now, but clearly you're also a success story for
Yeah.
not only that school, but the other Ponchatoula schools that you came through.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your journey, the people involved, and kind of, you know, the takeaways, you know, whether it's stories of what happened while you were there, or people you're appreciative to and want to give thanks to, or lessons you learned along the way. You know, DC Reeves and beyond. Tell us about your childhood as a student in Ponchatoula.
As a student in Ponchatoula, you know, and being humble, I was gifted academically, you know, so I excelled in pretty much every subject area, but some memorable experiences. I remember having my first African-American teacher in Ponchatoula, and that was
Who was that?
Mr. Michael Kyles, and he's now a principal here in the district in Hammond. And it was his first year as an educator in social studies. He was my social studies teacher at Ponchatoula Junior High School.
Okay.
And I could just remember seeing him, and I'm like, this is different for me. You know, this isn't something that I've experienced. And so when I made the decision after graduating from college to pursue education, that he's the individual that I thought of. So I have to give him, you know, his credit, because I don't think I would have had the drive or the passion or the motivation to say, I want to go back to my parish, because that wasn't the representation that I seen. So he was the most impactful in making, and me making the decision to come back to my parish. But outside of Mr. Kyles, I had some phenomenal teachers. And of course, my high school experience would probably be the most memorable. Miss Jessica Stant.
I love me some Jessica Stant.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite people in the world, man.
Miss Tate.
First son, Gabe, and my nephew
Gabe,
went to school together. They were good friends growing up, and that's just a wonderful family of educators and people. Can't say enough good things about them.
Absolutely.
Please go on. But I just, in case Jessica or any of her friends are watching, hey,
I'm sure she's on.
Not your only big fan.
I'm sure she's on. But so yeah, teachers like Miss Stant, teachers like Miss Coleman, who taught principles of business at Ponchatoula High School, Miss Long, who was a science teacher, Coach Long. They just
Did she coach really girls basketball, I think?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, this is not the first time she's been applauded on this show. You know, Coach.
Yeah, love Coach Long.
Hey, can we just give a brief shout out? Congrats to the PHS Lady Wave on your regular season, your district champs, and you know we're so proud of you as a community. Thank you for showing us the very best of what Ponchatoula can do. Marshall, please continue your story. I just wanted to make sure those girls got their credit while we were on in that periphery.
Like I said, my journey through the school system, I wouldn't say was the easiest. I've always had a pretty bold personality. Never disrespectful or anything of that nature, but I was definitely a student who would challenge you, so to speak, you know, as a teacher.
Sure.
So, you know, you have to put your best foot forward whenever you're dealing with Mr. Muse. So I
appreciate your candor on that tone. It reminds me of my little brother Louis, who's now an incredibly successful lawyer in Houston. And probably one of his first cases was to challenge the uniform system on its definition of khaki back when PHS moved to uniform. He took that all the way to the school board. So know that we applaud a little bit of spunk in our students. You should ask questions and make sure things are done right. And it sounds like that's what you were doing. Am I wrong?
Absolutely. You got it spot on. And like I said, it was never to be disrespectful or any disruption to the classroom or learning environment. But it was just me being me, and all of my teachers, even Miss Bridget Acosta, who's still an educator here within the parish, and all of Coach Haltom at Martha Vineyard. I've had some phenomenal people. My assistant principal when I was at DC Reeves, Miss Phyllis McCraney. I just had some phenomenal people, male and female, who poured into me as a young scholar, and like I said, I'm immensely grateful, and I still have a relationship with them, old teachers.
Thanks for sharing that, because teachers do so much, and so often they don't get the public credit that they should. So I sure hope that these men and women that you mentioned, whether they're watching this show or not, that somehow word gets back to them that the good they've done is still in the community. I had the benefit today just by chance to see my 9th grade English teacher, present her with a copy of a book I wrote, and just give her thanks and say, look, any misspellings or grammatical errors in here are my own. You did a great job teaching me. But to be able to share a moment like that was so special for me personally. And I'm sure if your teachers, catch wind that you still remember what they taught you all these years ago, because y'all see so many students, right?
We do. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so hard to keep up. And so if you don't mind, I'm going to take a quick break to get back to comments, because they didn't stop when we stopped talking about them. Charmaine Lil Alame Jones says she's proud of you.
Thank you.
Tracy Genoble Brown says it's
hey, Miss Brown.
Chantel Lewis is
still tagging family
on here. Wilmer Walker.
Girl, keep going, girl.
Walker. The Walker family is dear to me.
My cousins.
They're your cousins?
Reginald Walker.
Reggie Walker of the NFL.
Absolutely.
Yeah, his big brother Rob, now Big Rob. But when I knew him, he was 9, and he was big for his league, but he was a center on a team I coached. He and my little brother are good friends. He used to spend the night at our house all the time. It's been a real honor to see Reggie and Rocky and Rob and all those guys do so well. Rob went on to play ball at Mississippi State. Reggie, I think all conference in the Big 12 at Kansas State. Just great folks. I didn't know y'all were related. That's cool. And speaking of Walkers, tagging James Walker there, David Sibley, Tyra Lewis.
Go ahead now.
Tamara Story Whittington. Oh, that's
our principal.
Okay.
She's tagging our principal.
I sure hope that you're making such a good example here for DC Reeves. China Austin says she's so proud.
Thank you, China.
Allie Heiser says, she's your cousin. She says you're so handsome.
Hey, thank you.
It's that smile, man. It's
I cannot stop. It's natural. It's natural. Anybody that knows me.
People are saying you're handsome on Facebook, right? I mean, that's
right.
It's I don't know that I ever got that kind of love, but it would have been many decades ago, if ever. Tamara Lewis. Oh, look at that. Cortana. Now, speaking of Lewis's that I love, Cortana Lewis got me through high school. Okay.
Phenomenal.
I guess us lawyers talk about statutes of limitation running on infractions, and I guess it's okay to now admit that I used to copy your cousin Cortana Lewis's homework.
It's fine.
In homeroom. Students don't do that. It's a bad idea.
Absolutely.
But, she's a wonderful woman who helped me a ton. Felton Lewis, Christy Whitaker, Kendall McGee, giving you some props there.
Thank y'all.
Jessica Monroe, Kusain.
These are some of my classmates.
Oh, cool. Kathy. I love Kathy Darr, man. Miss Kathy Darr is a sweet lady. She says, great show. Miss Kathy, thank you so much. You're such an awesome lady. Sarah Lindsay says the team.
Hey, 4th grade math team.
You want yeah?
Yeah.
Victoria Kitchen says she grew up with you. She's really excited to see you in education. She believes you are exactly the right person to be inspiring the future of our community.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Randy Bastian Kia says she's so thankful to work with you.
Thank y'all.
Chris AD says she loves you.
Thank you.
And Kisa Michelle Bells is sending some love your way. So as you can see, the love continues to pour in. Yeah. We're here with Marshall Muse, educator, teacher at DC Reeves, the DC Reeves.
The DC.
We left off in your story talking about your high school years and the many educators that impacted you. Tell us about the next chapter in the story. Where'd you go next after your PHS days?
So after graduating from Ponchatoula High School, I was eager to move on to the next chapter. It's like grew up in a small town. It's time to see some more of the world.
Sure.
But I wasn't quite sure exactly what I wanted to do. I did know that I wanted to, pursue post-secondary education, but I just didn't know where. I was certain that I wanted to attend a HBCU. I knew the ultimate, the end goal is to be a juvenile judge. And so I'm like, what do I do? Where do I go? So I ended up at the Southern University in Agriculture and Mechanical College in Baton Rouge. And that was the best decision I could have ever made in life. I love my institution. So I matriculated through Southern, finished in my 4 years with a degree in criminal justice and psychology. And finished, while working, balancing, maintaining through that. And now
can we take a quick pause? I want to ask specifically about your degree. How does that background, that study of criminal justice and psychology help you as an educator today? I would imagine a psychological component especially would be helpful in dealing with kids, but tell us about that, if it helps at all, or how do you feel like that prepared you to be the educator you are today?
I think my experience overall at my university prepared me. Like I say, my love and my passion for children, but the academic component, or the knowledge that I gained from my departments, incomparable. I mean, just understanding the thought process, of others, of youth, being just a little more knowledgeable, a little more understanding of why things happen the way they do, or the response, and oftentimes people are seen and not heard, especially children. We grew up here in Ponchatoula, so we know kids have somewhat of a voice, but hey, mom, dad, grandma, this is what it is. You're a child, and listen. We're all about respect. We're all about order, and so gaining that from my institution was beneficial to me as an adult, but also going out into the workforce and preparing to work with others, because we have to be able to mesh, and we have to be able to adapt. So I learned some very, very valuable nuggets while at my institution, and the first degree brought me back for the second degree. So you
graduated in 4 years undergrad, and now you're pursuing a master's degree, right?
Absolutely. So now I'm pursuing my master's degree at my university again. So in May 14th, I'll be walking across that stage, or walking across that field, because of COVID, and receiving my second degree, a master's in public administration.
That's amazing. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
I remember when I was a kid, my mom went back to school to get her master's. It was probably 8th, 9th grade, something like that. And, like you, she was working full time. She worked in banking, and you just remember what a challenge it was for her.
Absolutely.
To manage that next level of education with the challenges that the rest of life brings you. So I really commend you on that. I know it can't be easy, because we all know you're tired from running 100-yard dash.
Yes. It's challenging, but I know that I'll look back. And I won't regret it. Even now, I don't regret it. But I know that there are several little eyes and even big eyes looking at me as an inspiration. And so I don't do it, for myself, or for the fame, or for the attention, or the clout. I do it because this is really what I have a passion for, and it's serving people. Yeah.
Well, is there a plan educationally next after them? I mean, look, I hate to get ahead of you. Like, man, I got my hand teaching class. I'm getting a master's degree, but I guess some people sometimes say, well, what are you going to do with that? Because you're now going to be gifted not only with the knowledge that comes with that, but with the status that comes with a master's, and public administrations. Something you can do so much with it.
Absolutely.
About that, about what the next chapter might be front.
educationally, I don't even plan to stop. If I'm being honest, I
That's
do I want to pursue law school.
oh,
So,
let's talk after the show, man.
absolutely,
Help you,
absolutely.
man. Yeah,
So,
I'd love to help.
I plan on pursuing law school. Haven't quite decided, where yet, but
Yeah.
of course, the University Law Center doesn't sound bad at all
Well,
to
one of
me.
my colleagues, Megan Notran, is a graduate, and she's an awesome lawyer. She learned
Hmm.
there. I'd be happy to introduce you to her and the many other friends I have that have finished their law school studies there.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
great to know, man. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Let's talk. We're talking on the educational front, but personally in this journey, you're a young man,
Mhm.
so there's not a decade in between the college years and where we are here today.
Right.
What else would you like to talk about that's kind of occurred in your life? We've covered schooling, we've covered a lot of your career.
Hmm.
Let's talk about from there to here. What else is on your mind that you might want to share with us?
Lord, my mind. My mind rolls about a million miles a minute. So many things going on, just in the world. But despite all the controversy and despite all the craziness, it's just good to show love and to feel love. Like right now, I'm as you can see, I've been smiling probably now more than ever. I smile often, but I'm just overjoyed and elated to see the support that I'm getting from the individuals that I deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
My life is not
It
easy.
sounds like you've earned it. I mean, you deserve for these throngs of people to be tuning in and
Yeah,
commenting and throwing love your way because you're
yeah.
doing the hard work. You went off and did the hard work to get educated, like you
Hmm.
did, and to come back home to bring that. I mean, so often we see people go get a great education and then they pursue
Hmm.
the opportunities the rest of the world has. And look, I'm all for that. As I mentioned earlier, my brother's thriving in Houston, where it's the bigger, better economy than we have to offer here.
Absolutely.
It's
Hmm.
really neat to see a story where somebody comes back home and says, you know what, the DC Reeves made an impact in my life. I'm going to go there and inspire those young men and women and help them to be bigger and better. And it's a special story, man. I thank
Yeah,
you for coming back and kind of sharing
yeah,
your genius with our community
yeah.
because from the obvious look and sound of it, Marshall, you could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
Got a
absolutely.
megawatt smile. You're a regular guy. And let's face it, man, New York City, California, wherever, you can
Hmm.
thrive, but you choose to do it right here in Ponchatoula. And for that, I thank you.
Yeah, I
One
thank
question
you.
I have, if you don't mind,
Hmm.
if you could go back to a younger version of yourself, maybe say the high school graduate, which for you is what, roughly 6 years ago, but before you go to college, before you do the master's degree, before you begin a career teaching, and give yourself some advice based on what you've learned in those 6 years since, in this new perspective of being an educator rather than just being educated. What advice would you give to your younger self? What advice would you give to someone else who's watching this interview and maybe aspires to be like you? What have you learned along the way that you could share with us?
Um, Advice to a younger me. I'll address that question first, and then I'll go into my advice to someone else. The advice that I would give to high school Marshall would have been to just enjoy high school a little more. I was so focused on growing up,
Mm.
becoming more independent, being a man, being on my own. So that was the sole focus to where I didn't enjoy my high school years as much as I could have. So I would say, you know, just get out a little more, do a little more. And I wouldn't, I was kind of living ahead of my years, so to speak.
Right.
I was like, yeah, they partying, but no, thank you. I'd rather be, yeah, or whatever. So that would be my advice to a younger me, just to enjoy life and be a teenager.
Hmm.
To someone else, my advice to all my scholars, as they know, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Ms. Lynn. She is a parent of one of my current scholars, and
Uh-huh.
she gave me the quote, the motto: teaching little scholars to become great leaders. And she says that that's something that I exhibit daily, and it is just huge. So
Yeah.
to everyone, young and old, my thing is be yourself, be genuine, be real, be transparent, and naturally people will latch on to that. But if you do nothing else in this world, be positive, and all the achievements, all the accomplishments mean nothing, literally absolutely nothing, if you don't reach back, back into your community
Right.
and help someone else. So where I am now, we know that the education system here in Louisiana isn't the highest paying
Right.
career. So the choice to be an educator is a choice. It's a decision,
Sure.
and it's only to better those youth and young adult who are coming
Yeah.
up under us, who are going to be future leaders. So it's important to be that example, to be that role model, and like I said, I'm immensely blessed and grateful for the support that I have. Um, I'm just thankful. I remember when I graduated from college,
Mm-hmm.
my family came, from near and far, and one of my cousins from Michigan, he came, and
What
he
part of
never
Michigan?
Flint, Michigan,
Okay.
and he never graduated high school, and he came to my college graduation, and afterwards, we come out and I'm hugging and shaking hands, and he looked at my diploma, my degree, and said, "I never seen one of these." And I said, "You can take as many pictures as you want because this degree is not just for me; it's for you too." And to see a
That's
grown man, you know, burst into tears, and he knew how genuine it was, and that moment right there is something that I'll never forget for as long as I live. And I'm
Well,
just,
speaking of pictures of your graduation, didn't you make it into the Advocate?
yeah, I made the paper.
I hope you. Let's send a copy up to him in Flint. Wow, that's a if he
Absolutely.
have one, that's cool.
And Parker, you mentioned that picture. I want to tell you about it. Okay, so I was prior to the commencement beginning,
Uh-huh.
we're lined up backstage, and
Right.
my family's they're trying to text me like, hey, this is where we're located. So they had a whole section, the whole M section. And I'm like, so I come out and I just hear applause, from here and there and everywhere.
Right.
And I look and immediately I see my friends and family. I mean, I couldn't even count how
That's cool.
many were in attendance for me, and they were just screaming, Muse, Muse, Muse. And I just smiled. And as soon as I smiled, it's like they captured that moment. And and wow, a moment that I'll never forget. A moment that I'll never forget. So that picture, I actually I never bought a newspaper prior to that. Never purchased a newspaper. And one
Don't
of
feel
my
bad. Nobody your age has.
and so one of my friends, they told me, "Did you know that you made the paper?" And so I went into the local gas station, and when I went into the gas station, I said, "Hey, do you guys have the Advocate?" And
Uh-huh.
he says, "I don't know. I think we may have a copy or two." I said, "Well, I'll need both of them." And so I flipped the paper over, and I was on the front page, and I said, "Do you know who this person is?" I said, "I'm buying both of these because that's me." And
Right.
it was just a
That's
moment.
so cool.
It was just a moment. Yeah.
That's really neat. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I want to. There are a few more people have commented, and I
Okay.
certainly want to share that. Elena Conley Rogers says you're very articulate.
Thank you.
Obviously,
Thank you.
he's right. Boy, Chantel, again, it's been a great interview. You're our MVP. The clock's ticking down. We're almost done.
I need her on my campaign team. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, more great tagging here. Siobhan Franklin's sending you some love.
Hey, Siobhan.
Uh, just you're getting applause all over the place. Tyra Lewis says she's so proud of you.
Thank you. Keep
And
going.
Conley Rogers says keep going. Miss Kathy Dar, you are so right. Marshall has a heart after God. You really have a giving
Absolutely.
spirit. It's inspiring to see that. So much love coming in here. I hope
Love you, Tracy.
Tracy's says she loves you. Quandra
Thank you.
here.
That's one of my, yeah. Hey,
I'll go back.
love you.
You were saying who's
that's another one of my family members from Michigan.
Well, we started this interview talking about your family.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they've stuck with us 50 minutes deep. I didn't get you out of here. We're late. But thank you all for sticking around. And the reason I asked you about Michigan, my family's actually from Michigan. Ponchatoula has a strong Michigan representation down here.
They do. They really do.
Yeah, you know, because when my family moved down here, they weren't the only family that migrated at that time. Several families moved together, and many more.
Running from the cold.
You're talking newspapers. The owner of the Ponchatoula Times is from Detroit, Michigan, Brian McMahon. But it's cool to see that connection here. Sean Sanders says, congratulations.
Hey,
love you. So proud of
love you.
Stacy P says, yes, your cousin.
Yep,
God's always good.
Yes,
Shirley says she loves you.
Love y'all.
It's been a great episode here. I can't thank you enough. I owe it to you in the respect of your time to wrap this up. But before I do, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers? Anything in the world on your heart? Now's a great time to let folks know.
I'm just, I want to say thank you again. This has been a phenomenal interview. Like I said, I'm overjoyed.
And look, you hit it earlier. All the glory goes to God.
That's it.
The way you are, but you're you know, a captivating person to talk to. So thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, to our viewers, I'll say goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in. As we say goodbye to Marshall, he was great to interview. He's doing great things in the school. And I sure hope that the community will support DC Reeves. He mentioned earlier funding, right? There's something we can do about that. Tangipahoa is the lowest funded school district in the state. And let's face it, Louisiana is always the bottom of everything. I'm not here to get political, but we can fund our schools better. I believe we should. I think that'll be on the ballot. Please give that some thought. So thank you for tuning in. With no further ado, we're going to wrap it up here at Ponchatoula Live, and we'll see you back here next week on Thursday. Take care.